Based on a new filing in the Abrego Garcia case, while Donald Trump and the Trump administration were taunting the press, taunting Abrego Garcia and his family, taunting federal judges, including the United States Supreme Court, according to the new filing in the amended complaint, Abrego Garcia was being tortured night and day, 24/7, in that Supermax prison in El Salvador where he was placed. We have a new amended complaint filed with Judge Xinis in Maryland. We've got action in Tennessee where Abrego Garcia is being held in protective custody effectively by a magistrate judge there in his criminal case to avoid him being deported in the meantime, while judges like Judge Crenshaw in Tennessee and Judge Xinis in Maryland assert their jurisdiction and administer justice. And the new complaint, you'll have to sit down for this one, shows that if this isn't a violation of the Conventions Against Torture by the United States through its delegate, through its proxy in El Salvador, I don't know what is. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. Let's get to it. As we suspected, life was not pretty and pretty much inhumane for the 200 or so individuals, humans, sent to El Salvador by the Trump administration in the middle of the night without due process. One of them named Armando Abrego Garcia, and he is a proxy, if you will, for the entire inhumane deportation removal process without due process that Donald Trump has been executing on since he's almost the first day in office. The allegations in the complaint are difficult to read. What they say is that while he was in the CCOT, this Supermax prison in El Salvador, he was beaten and tortured around the clock. He was made to kneel overnight, and if he couldn't kneel any longer, he was beaten. He was in overcrowded cells. They were kept in bunks with metal bunks with no mattresses, with bright lights all day long. He lost 31 pounds in less than 90 days while he was there. But they also have another revelation in there. Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice, like to say that Abrego Garcia, to justify their actions, that he's a member of MS-13, a narco-terrorist gang out of Venezuela. He's, according to the allegations in the complaint, even the El Salvadoran prison officials recognized that Abrego Garcia was not a member of MS-13, that his tattoos around his arms and chest did not indicate that he was. He does not have any tattoos on his fingers. That, of course, we know is a deep fake, not even that deep fake that Trump grabbed onto. And the complaint alleges that his due process has been violated, his removal order has been violated, the Constitution has been violated, his habeas corpus rights have been violated, and are asking Judge Xinis to do the right thing, continue to exert jurisdiction over him, keep him in the United States under her supervision. Now that in the near future he's going to be released from the federal detention center in Tennessee. Why Tennessee? For those that are joining the story late, because for 2 months, Donald Trump and the Trump administration refused to bring Abrego Garcia back to the United States from El Salvador, even though the record is clear that he was illegally sent there over an order to prevent that from an immigration judge. That's what the Supreme Court of the United States has said. It was an illegal, improper removal. So for 2 months, despite Supreme Court 9-0 orders, Judge Xinis' multiple orders, and the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals with 2 opinions, they refused to bring the guy back until they manufactured an indictment for quote-unquote human smuggling because he had 9 people in a car when he was stopped 2.5 years ago at a traffic stop for which he did not receive a ticket. That became the kernel, that became the little acorn that grew into this ridiculous indictment. Magistrate Holmes in Tennessee found that there was no proper grounds, rejected the government's attempt to keep him in pretrial detention on those criminal charges. She released him, but acknowledged that he's also subject to an immigration process, and he might just be whisked away into the immigration world with the Gestapo under Donald Trump and deported and removed from this country. And that worried her, worried the lawyers for Abrego Garcia, And she ordered that he stay in federal detention a bit longer until Judge Crenshaw has an opportunity, which is her boss, the Article 3 judge in Tennessee presiding over the matter. And there's a hearing in the middle of July. Judge Xinis is having a hearing on Monday, now with the new complaint in front of her, about whether she's going to require that he be transported to Maryland and kept under her watchful eye, which I believe she should do. There's also in Maryland a parallel motion for discovery sanctions and contempt sanctions against the Trump administration. Now, the reason in Tennessee that Judge Holmes had to step in and put him into, listen to this, a person who was illegally removed from this country and placed in effectively a torture chamber in detention, begged the court to keep him in detention in federal court in Tennessee to protect him from Donald Trump and the Trump administration. And she agreed. Even the Trump administration agreed. They didn't oppose it because I don't think they can control themselves. And the reason they had to go to her is because there were competing and conflicting statements by the Trump administration. One lawyer in court said that their goal was to immediately remove and deport Abrego Garcia to a country not named El Salvador. At the same time, Ham Bondi at a press conference is saying they're going to make him stand trial in Tennessee, try that case first, and then send him to El Salvador. Well, those are conflicting statements. And Judge Holmes sorted it out and said, yeah, you're going to stay in Tennessee a bit longer till Judge Crenshaw gets a chance and gets a crack at this case again. And now Judge Xinis, now we have two competing federal judges trying to protect the same person. But in front of Xinis are the constitutional violation claims that she needs to pick through. And of course, she's going to side with the Supreme Court's decision, which is Abrego Garcia's got to stay in the United States while these competing claims of habeas corpus violation, due process violation, removal order violation, and the rest are worked out in front of her. And she is not going to be pleased, I assure you, by the allegations in the complaint about what happened to this person and how he was inhumanely abused and tortured in El Salvador. And let me be clear here as I end the hot take. We on the network, me, Legal AF, I'm not defending Abrego Garcia. I don't know the person. I don't know the evidence well enough. I haven't been hired to defend him. What I'm defending with my last breath is constitutional due process, which should be afforded to everybody, our enemy or our friend in this country. And we should not be exporting to countries who do not share our values, who are dictatorships, who are third world countries for a reason, like South Sudan, Libya, and El Salvador. We should not be exporting our justice and placing people there and not caring about them. This isn't a black ops facility that the CIA is using because they don't want to torture on U.S. soil, so they send it to one of our frenemies who end up torturing the person. This isn't a battlefield. It's a battlefield over the Constitution for sure. So that's what we defend here. You know, I don't agree with most of what is said on college campuses about the Hamas Israel conflict or Ukraine, Russia, or whatever. But I will defend their right to say it as long as it doesn't tip over into unprotected violence, violent rhetoric, or violent acts, or those that are tied to terrorism. But First Amendment, the fact that I'm uncomfortable, that makes me want to defend it more. The right to say it in the public square. That's what we defend here on Legal AF. And you're part of it. We vibrate on the same frequency. Thanks for being here with us. Hit the free subscribe button, and we'll continue to grow this pro-democracy channel together. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.